Greetings, Mr. Ashwini. Thank you so much for joining us today on the Safety Connect podcast. So, as you
Thank
know,
you, Tanmay.
thank you. So, as you know, Safety Connect, we're into the whole field force safety space. And our goal through Safety Connect and also through this podcast is to share a lot of learnings from professionals like yourself who are thought leaders in the whole driving safety space so that we can influence this whole safety community to help them with actionable takeaways on what they can do, what the government can do, and collectively, our goal is to help reduce the number of road accidents within the country and globally. So, thank you once again for joining us today. And before I jump into the conversation, let me just give our listeners and viewers a quick background about yourself. So, Mr. Ashwini Bagga is a road safety expert who served as Principal Project Officer at the Center of Excellence for Road Safety at IIT Madras. And he's also worked as a consultant for the Department of Transport and Road Safety, Government of Rajasthan. And today we're going to be talking about the role of government in promoting road safety. So I just wanted to dive a little deeper into your background because I do also know that you come with a background in or a good grasp on data science, machine learning. So from there, how did you come upon the road safety domain?
Actually, the journey started way back in 2010. So I was in Udaipur that time. So there we started taking initiatives for road safety, and we had a very general idea about how we can spread a word among people, school children, and other community groups. And later on, after 6 years working from there, I got an opportunity to work in a project which was funded by the World Bank, and that project was awarded to PWD. And within that project, there was a need for a consultant in the department itself. So from there onwards, my the domain of road safety from conducting the activities for communities and then shifted to the uh, altogether a different role for, because in the government they wanted a person who can help them in formalizing policies and documentation work and all these things, particularly to road safety, because at that particular time uh, the road safety cell was constituted in 2016 only. So there was a shift for me, and the journey took a different turn. And from then onwards, I'm working with the government of Rajasthan, and yeah, I got an opportunity to work with the IIT Madras, and I went to Chennai for a couple of months. Then I returned back to Rajasthan for certain personal reasons.
Okay. So what's the journey been like working with the government? What's, what are the ups, what are the downs, especially when you're working on such a difficult subject like road safety? Do you always get the support required from the people there?
Yeah, it is no doubt the support was I got the total support from the side of the government, and yeah, the journey was quite we can say it was interesting and it was challenging also, because a lot of things were happening for the first time. So I can say it's and if you are a keen learner and if you have a different mindset and you want to explore the things, so definitely you opens to the new gateways, and a lot of knowledge you can gain from the outside world, and then you can implement that knowledge to the work that you are doing. So yes, of course, it is required that when you are working with the, let's say, the big organization, or you are heading a you are just giving some consultants to the government. So, but natural that requires that you also, by the time you also build your capacity in different subjects that are required, or in different domains that is required, because at the end of the day, you have the ultimate goal is you have to deliver. So there were certain challenges, but since the work which I was and the deliverables which I had. So I was giving all these things on the time, and uh, the work was also appreciated by the lead agency. So that later on that it's also, I will not say that it's problematic, but uh, by the time it was, the transition was smooth.
Got it. So what was the
Yeah.
mandate there, or rather, what was the main task that you were working on
Main task working in the government. See, when I joined in 2016 in the as a consultant in the road safety cell, so there were a lot of things were going on. So at that particular moment, uh, lead agency was created in the Department of Transport and Road Safety, and that was in compliance to the guidelines of the Supreme Court Committee on Road Safety. And there were different officers from the stakeholder departments were deputed in the road safety cell. From there on, there were several guidelines which were provided earlier by the committee. So that were the main challenge, that how we can come up with, how we can uh, comply those guidelines within the state. So that is a, we can say it's a difficult thing. And there were many new things which were going on. For example, the formulation of certain guidelines were taking shape. We had a policy which came in place in 2017 for road safety. So, in compliance to the policy, we were required to prepare an action plan for the entire state. So that was also done. So, same way, there are many things which were going on, which were happening for the first time. Similar, now the if you see the from the journey from the past 6 7 years, a lot of things have already happened in Rajasthan, and even not in the case in Rajasthan, there are many states which are working because they also have to comply the guidelines of this the committee. So the journey has taken a very long way, and still there are many things which are being evolving at this particular stage.
there? Got it. So it was more like a Supreme Court policy, or rather a directive
I'll
from.
not say
Mm.
I'll not say it's just only the Supreme Court policy, but yes, it has helped to the guidelines which were directions which are given by the committee. That direction itself has pushed the things to and given a pace. Otherwise, the journey would have been some. I can say it would have been some slower. Uh, but this directions have given you can say a push, and the things that were required by the committee on certain timelines, so that was done. So that was a very very big help to these states.
Got it. So these guidelines, which were put in place by the Supreme Court, so all the states have ideally adopted that. So I just wanted to understand how does Rajasthan fare versus other states within the country?
See, now the things are, if you compare now the things are, most of these states have the general, you can say that the institutional framework was required to work on the road safety. So most of the states have already complied those guidelines. You can, but the still, I will not say that this was the only one single direction which was given by the committee. So there are several. By the time they keep on giving directions one after another, and they keep check on compliances, what compliances the state is doing, and then they add on certain new things. So this is a, you can say, ongoing journey. It's not yet completed. But since at the beginning, when the committee was constituted in 2014, and the lead agency in Rajasthan, I will talk about Rajasthan, it was constituted in 2016. So there was a basic structure that was required in every state to lead this particular initiative. So we may have a different scenario in different states, but we have lead agency in every state. So there is a provision for allocating funds for road safety. So this is there in every state. So you have certain basic things that are required. Now you are required to have your own policies. So every state has its own policy. Though we have a national road safety policy, and we are complying that policy, and we are implementing in the state. So these are some of the basic things which was required to strengthen the institutional framework, which is required to uh, take initiatives for road safety. So this is, and almost states have done now. They are doing their own task depending upon the situation and the condition. So each state has its own role to play.
Okay. And when you are implementing or working with the government, is it so? Which department are you typically working with?
See, when we talk about the institutional mechanism for the state, so there has to be some role of a particular department that is obvious that some department should take the lead. So in certain states, I think this police is doing, but in our state, it is the transport department which is taking care of road safety, and it's a nodal department for road safety, and that lead agency is constituted within the transport department. So the primarily transport department is taking lead for road safety in our state.
Got it. Got it. So a lot of times what happens is when we do see road accidents happening, the first thing that most of the people do is we blame it on, say, the infrastructure or maybe bad driving, behavior-based issues, and so on and so forth. So the category is more like negligence and also blaming it on the government, right? Because they've not provided what they're supposed to be providing. So what exactly is the role of the government towards promoting or providing for ensuring that road safety uh, is something which is otherable by everyone, right? So just want to understand from your side.
So see, the question is right that if something happens, so if I someone belongs to a particular department, definitely he will not elaborate what are the pros and cons. Just only the positive sides he will deliver. These are the positive things from my side. So similarly, if we talk about some other department, they have their own positive things to describe. Now, it was initially identified that there is every department there are certain positive things, there are certain negative things, and the first thing that was identified is this: what is of the blame game is going on. This has to be given a stop. So, and every stakeholder that needs to collaborate and work together. So, taking note of it, the lead agency which is formed in every state. Now, lead agency is not only one single department. When we talk about a lead agency, now primarily there is a one department which is taking the lead, and within that lead agency, the stakeholders, there is various stakeholders, and from all these stakeholders, there is a one or two officers which are working together at one place. So this is how the lead agency is constituted in every state. So when we talk about lead agency, let's say in Rajasthan, so we have the officers of transport department, we have officers for let's say medical and health department. There is a police which is playing its role. There are n number of road owning agencies. For example, let PWD is a major department, and there are certain other subsidiary departments. And so the officers of all these stakeholder departments, so they are working together under one roof. Even when we talk about road safety, so there is a lot of things that needs to be happen at the primary level when we talk about education. So education is also a part of it. So there are several departments now, they have come under one roof. So this is the major development that has been done so far when this lead agency was constituted. So that is now in every state now the different departments are working in a collaboration. So that makes a sense. So now we don't have to wait that what department other department is saying and what other department is saying. Everything is in a place. So there is a, I think it's a good move by the ministry, or you can say it's the direction which is given by the Supreme Court committee. So now the all the departments are working together for a single goal. So ultimately they are just need to reduce the number of crashes and deaths. So this is a good thing which has happened.
But why has that not resulted in a drop in accidents?
Yeah. So that is the very next question that I was expecting from you. See, if we evaluate the things now, see, lead agency has been set up. Now, if you take an example of a state, now the size of state you can say it's not uniform across the country. Population is different. The geographic area is different. So if we have some certain plan or certain set of actions so that we can implement in other states, so that may not or may results in the results or the benchmark that we have uh, established in one particular state, and we achieve the same results in other states. So you can say it's an impossible task. It's very difficult. Another thing is the right now what is happening now we have lead agency in place, but that is at working at a state level. But when we talk about the implementation of the activities or the initiatives, so that has go to, you can say, down the line from state towards district, sub-districts, and till rural areas. So for that implementation, you need, you can say, a head count for implementing those activities, the volume of fund that you have to spend. So that is huge. So the main, I think, what I feel is the implementation is the one thing which is lacking behind. So that's why we are not able to achieve the target that we are proposing. So that is the one thing that is need to be strengthened. If something is going on, so that also needs to be evaluated whether the particular activity or an initiative that has been rolled out at the state level. So has it been successfully being rolled out at the level which is it was required, and has it gained the amount of results that we want? So the implementation and the evaluation of the activities is the major challenge as of now, which I feel is the only reason that we are not able to hit that target that we have proposed, or the government is proposing in every state. That is a big challenge that I see.
So, would we be able to achieve the 50% drop in accidents by 2030 in that case?
See, as of now, it's difficult to say, but still there are so many things are going on. But there has to be certain, you can say, some key parameter, key indicators or key performance indicators to be developed by each state. So I remember there was a project which was rolled out by Ministry of Road Transport and Highways, keeping this target in mind, because we couldn't achieve the target for what was set for the 2020. So ministry rolled out a project in 2019, but I don't see any development. We have uh, already covered up. Can say July is gone, 2023, but that project has not been rolled out. So there is something which is need to be done by the central level also, because if center is doing a lot of things and some projects is made and has not been rolled out, so that is a, I think it's a, can say it's a big drawback, that why it didn't happen so. So
What
because
is that? Sorry,
the,
what is that project? Can you elaborate on that?
it was a project which was introduced in ministry way back in 2019, and it was funded by ministry, and there are certain big agencies were involved, like World Bank and ADB, but I don't know what happened to that project, and where it has stuck or it hasn't been rolled out. So it was a project which was introduced, and it was to be supposed to be done by several, and it was for the 14 state it was supposed to be launched, which
Hmm?
has 85% share in the road crash fatalities. I think that would have done a lot of, you can say, those initiatives would have been implemented. I think that would have taken a, you can say, a lot of achievement would have been done by those activities. But that was not for just 1 or 2 months or a year-long project. It was for 6 years. So that
Mhm.
would have
Can you talk
bring some.
can you talk a little bit about the initiatives which were part of that, or which were supposed to have
See,
been part
road
of that?
safety, yeah, for the road safety, you can say there is not one thing that we are supposed to do. There is everything that we need to take care of, because road safety, you can say it's a, the as the UN has been declared the decade of action for road safety for in uh, 2011 2020. So they recognized, they identified 5 major pillars for road safety that involve the road safety management, safer road users, safer road infrastructure was there, safer vehicles was there were post crash response was there. So there are 5 different major pillars. Under each there are certain different set of activities are there, so that we need to, you can say, uh, whatever the policy or the action plan that we are making, so that must adhere all these 5 the activities which are comes under these 5 pillars. So we should have good roads and proper infrastructure. You can say road infrastructure are forgiving roads, or the roads which comply to the concept of, let's say, that is called as the forgiving roads. You can say, which is part of the safe systems approach. So we have to work on the road infrastructure. The engineering of the road should be as per the standards, so they can the accident should be avoided or prevented, and if accident has happened, so that should not be given give a injury which claims a death or some grievous sort of injury or disability or hospitalization. So, so there are activities which are to be there are activities or initiatives which are you can say targeted for making our vehicles safer. Then there are certain activities which are related to the enhancing the road user behavior in terms of education, awareness, and all these things. And we have a post crash response. So these are all the activities which are combined together. And all the things then are done in parallel, so they can make a difference. So in the same lines, so the project had the activities which were based on these particular lines. So they have activities or the initiative for each and every aspect. So so that was a very, I think that the documentation that I read in way back, so that covered all the aspects of road safety. So that was, I think, it was a very well groomed project.
Got it. So also what is invariably happening is most of the people who are flying on the roads, they're of course going on personal errands or for leisure trips, but a significant amount of the travel is also happening with or by people who are employed in a certain company or business travel, right? So you think maybe stricter policies at a organization level or at a corporate level, do you think that has a role to play in reducing the number of accidents within the country?
Yeah, I say definitely answer is yes. Now, what I see is another the lot of companies, there are big corporates which have the employees in different look working at a different locations, and they are the head count is, let's say, from several hundreds to several thousands. So when such big companies are, if they have an idea to work for this particular cause, I think that will definitely going to make a difference. See, let's say if I take an example, if suppose in some place, if there is a plant where the workers are there and their laborers is coming and they are going on a daily basis. So in the industry, what is happening now? When they are work, the employees are working within the premises of the company. So they are bound by their rules and regulations and all the safety measures that has to be taken care by the industry. It is being followed
Yeah.
because they have the concept of the safety audits. So whenever the safety audits happens, and they have a check on each and everything with how the safety parameters are met. But what happens when he moves out to your premises and he is heading way back to his home? What about his safety? So companies and industries particularly also think about the safety of an employee, whether it's a worker or is a you can say the middle level manager or a top level manager. So they need to consider the importance of his life. Because I just take one example, if you might have heard about this, the the entire industry, you can say, or the entire corporate world was shaken when we heard about the death of Mr. Cyrus. So that made a difference because such a big name was lost in a road crash. But you think there are more than 422 people are getting lost each and every day in India. So that this number is very huge. But everybody is not Cyrus Misri. But for me, if I'm earning for my family, if I'm running my family, and I have a role to play to bring up my children, so I am everything for them. I am the only Cyrus Misri for them. So we have to think that way, because if the life is important within your premise, it is also equally important when he is moving out from the office or from a plant. So till he reaches home, his safety should be a major concern. So what they cannot have a check whether he is following a rule or not, but at least giving them then ideas and what if they will not follow a particular norm or particular, let's say, safety, if they are not following that, what will happen, how their life will going to change. At least this basic idea should be, you can say, from the even they can incorporate in their policy or by giving them some, let's say, formal education or some sort of training or some word by their manager to the employees, that should go into their mind. So how the life will change if something happens to them. So this, you can say, it's a basic idea that they need to be given. So if the companies or even the industries, if they start doing this thing, so I think that will bring a lot of change.
I completely agree with what you're saying, and that's something that we've also experienced, right? A lot of large enterprises that have, say, a few thousands of employees on the field, multi-billion dollar companies. So these companies, they do have strong policies in place. And but when it comes to the adherence of policies or the governance around that, there are not too many systems in place to ensure the governance of these policies. Say, for example, a company might have zero tolerance to phone usage while driving. But how would you know if that is really being adhered to, right? So that's when we've also started working with some companies, right? Like through the SafetyConnect application, we've helped certain companies get visibility into things like phone usage while driving, harsh acceleration, braking, cornering, overspeeding, distracted driving. Now, based on this, the employee is getting coached on how they can become safer behind the wheel. And now the organization also has visibility into high risk employees, high risk regions, and high risk behaviors. And they can also understand whether that policy of zero tolerance to phone usage while driving is that really being adhered to or not. So that's a very valuable insight that we are giving to companies. And because of that, they've taken the right measures at the right time, which has ultimately helped them reduce the number of road accidents. In companies, we've seen even a 70 to 80% drop in major accidents within a year of implementing this. So it's a very big mindset shift. So, one is the organization, they need to be certain that, okay, yes, I'm investing in this technology because I know that, okay, potentially something could go wrong. But sometimes what happens is when we're having conversations with companies, they would say, no, I don't want to implement this because, okay, yeah, fatalities are happening, major accidents are happening, but we're not spending as much, right? It's not so expensive for us. So people need to look at it not from the lens of only cost, but on the humanitarian grounds also. Like as you rightly mentioned, they may be the only breadwinner for that household. And to that particular family, that family member is everything. So organizations and people in leadership roles also need to start looking at things from that particular lens and not just looking at it from a tick on their company sheets, right? It should be looked at in a very, very different way. So, yeah, I think I strongly believe resonate with what you're saying. So, I feel that here in such a situation, the government also would need to play a strong role in putting these kind of policies in place, right? So, any thoughts on what do you think that is going to look like in the near future?
So, in this particular regard, I'll say that the government has not done anything. I'll not say this because I remember the Ministry of Affairs has made a very good initiative, and they, uh, you can say, appended this the activities that companies do take in their CSR initiative. So road safety is one of them, which has been added in their CSR activities list. So that is one thing. The another thing that is only required is some obviously that some other departments or the ministries should have a role to play. So they need to think over it and bring this road safety into the industries and corporate policy. So that has to be there. So unless and until what will happen, a company will follow, the another will not follow. So this has to be a regulation or in some sort of let's say in their in, they have in some sort of act or their when their policy they are making for their HR and all the or in the we can say uh, the protection of laborers and their rights. So this point should also be added into various. There has to be some place where this can be added. In CSR, it is added, of course, but it's not applicable. We can say that CSR is not applicable for all the organizations because there's the eligibility for doing this. And when they add into their CSR, because now companies do take CSR in a different manner. But see, if a company which is you can say it's a pharmaceutical company. If I take an example, now it comes under or covered under CSR. So a pharmaceutical company would definitely will spend its money for the health sector. Let's say if we take another example, if some company is having let's say some related to some publishing or something. So they will do something in education. So they set their targets according to their business profile. So if we talk about any automotive firm or a company that is manufacturer of tires or some, let's say, some OEM which is working for a company which is covered under CSR, so they will think upon at this spending their CSR amount into road safety. But if you want to get this thing implemented by all the companies, so this has find some place where this within the policies it can be added, or the regulations they have already. So some road safety should be attained at that particular level. That when they are having some sort of audits for the performance audit or some sort of a safety audit. So when we talk about the industrial safety, fire safety, so there have also been should be checked for the road safety. If a company is having a huge plant, so what road safety measures they have taken for the people who are traveling or using the road which is inside their plant. So there should be and some sort of capacity building should also be done when we talk about road safety, because they are doing capacity building in all these things for fire safety and industrial safety. So when road safety is added, so they will definitely will going to think over it, how to train their employees and their staff for having a safe journey whenever they are commuting either for their commercial or a business purpose, or they are traveling across somewhere else for their personal use. Because safety, you cannot say that this is when I'm going office, then safety is required, but when I'm going to watch a movie, then safety is not required. No, it's every time when you travel, it is required. So it is something that you cannot detach yourself from safety.
So can a company use CSR funds for the safety of their own employees?
Yeah, they can.
Okay, understood. So it's not that they have to use it only for, say, outside of their company, right? It's not like they have to do it for so and so
I,
program.
I would say the companies and industries can work at a different level to implement or road safety or to spend their CSR budget. They can involve community and make them safer. And they have a huge network of vendors to whom they work or transact. They can also involve those number of persons which are interacting with them, or they are coming to their place or going, although they are not their employees. And they can conduct certain education or some awareness for their employees. And if they, let's say, if they include in their policy, let's say in HR, so that is a different thing. Although majorly they can spend their budget for CSR for the activities to cater the communities which are outside their premises. But if they want to do it for the inside for their employees, so I think they can include there in it is better to include in their policies.
Got it. Understood. So basically, like, one is for companies to really look at strengthening their road safety policies, and also, yeah, as you're saying, yes, they can use the CSR funds for their own employees, right? So I think there's good amount of support already, or rather, tailwinds to ensure that a company is doing the right things for the safety of their employees. And also now with ESG coming in, there's a lot of focus on environment, social governance aspect. And under the social aspect comes things like accidents and employee well-being and so on and so forth. So which is again tailwinds to ensure that uh, companies are giving that due importance uh, to road safety, which is supposed to have been given since a very long time. But are there any other things that you feel corporates need to be doing in addition to these aspects? But do you think there is something that a lot of these corporates are just overlooking at a very fundamental aspect?
So, as you said that there are a lot of things that can be done, and apart from this, even if they can, this is you can say this is you can say these are the starting point, and they will start doing these things. And if they are adding mentioning road safety into their policies, and creating a safe environment for their employees and the vendors which are they are looking at, if they will, I think that is the starting point first. So if first if they implement these things, so I think there is a broader level to it that they can see the picture. So at present, I think these are the three things that companies are the other things that can be that can involve themselves there. And what about the other companies which are not covered under CSR? There also be certain things that can be done for them also. So I think if either by some sort of regulation or certain amendment in certain act or some industrial laws, and this thing is added, so that will make a huge difference.
Got it. So now we spoke about the people who are part of a organization or a company.
Yeah.
Now there's a huge chunk of people who are not. So what could be those drivers that can help ensure that those people also take road safety very seriously, right? What could
Uh,
be those
first
push?
thing I'll start with is let's start this example. Maybe if we move in a chronological manner, and we'll start the journey when a kid is growing and attain his adulthood. So the first thing that should be covered. So road safety should be you can say in primarily should be a part of your school education, a formal school education. Now, since there's a debate is going on and a lot of activities have been done, and state is doing its own, center is doing its own, but still we are lacking a proper formal curriculum for children for who are going to school. So there are certain things that we can teach them at their just beginning when you are at the kid is in a primary stage in the primary classes. Then slightly we can move on and we can add certain regulations that were a child is need to understand when he is using road in terms of his safety as a pedestrian, as a bicyclist, and as a passenger when he's moving. So these are things that to be taught to a children who is in, let's say, in class 6th or 7th or 8th, because at that age he starts using bicycle, he start using the road, he walks through the road, crosses the road. And there are few you can say you can take example of few children who are coming and going by their own. So so these are the things from the basic that the children should understand. So when he reaches to, let's say, senior classes, in class, let's say, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, then some basics of road regulations that can uh, be a part of a school education. And even in the colleges we can have some compulsory subject for, let's say, for a can say there's a system in colleges where they give certain grades. So in when they are into their initial let's say degree, we are pursuing a BSc or BA or something else. So some you can say a small portion of road safety should also be covered, which will work as a refresher when they are. So at the age when the child gets it into his adult age, by that time he'll be knowing. Now at the present scenario, what is happening, and I'm going to school and I'm not knowing about roads and regulations. Then suddenly then I start cycling. Then at the age of attaining when I come to class 8 and 9, parents are easily giving vehicles to their children, and they even don't know what is legally correct or incorrect, what are the legal binding, what are the outcomes if some children caught in an accident, and when he is not having a driving license, what will happen. So parents are not aware. So all these things should be clear in the mind of children. So what are the disadvantages of underage driving? So because if a children who is if a particular person who has not attained age so that he can get a valid driving license to drive a two-wheeler. If you see the present scenario in India, as per the Motor Vehicle Act, unless and until you achieve an age of 18, you cannot drive a two-wheeler, not any two-wheeler, because the Motor Vehicle Act, which permits you to drive a two-wheeler, so that is only at the age of 16 you can start driving, and that is only a two-wheeler which is having a capacity of engine capacity less than 50 cc. So there are no such vehicles in the market. So I am at the age I'm not allowed to drive any vehicle. I'm driving a vehicle, and then when I attain and I just pass out, so I'm a driver. But essentially, what I should know, I don't know. So this is I think that this should start from the school itself. So the education system should have some formal education for road safety, whether it should be given in small chunks in every class. So that by that you attain certain age, so you should know what is to be done on road. So that is the thing that we can start with. This is the basic that we are like.
This sounds like common sense, right?
Obvious.
So, but why is it not being done so far?
And see, it is being done and many states have followed it. But the thing is, when they did, nobody was, you can say, it was capable enough to draft such a capable syllabus. Now the things have changed from the past. If you can, in past 6 to 7 years, things have changed. Now we need to upgrade it. In certain things, now this has to be done at a big level, so that has to be done by the CBSE itself. Because of the majority CBSE is the syllabus which is prepared by CBSE, or the books that we have in schools. So they are all NCERT books. So it has to be there in books. So at a central level, it should be done at that particular stage. Then if in certain stage, now we have, you can say, we have an education policy which is coming up for the entire country. So why should we are centralizing each and everything, so there has to be some common benchmarks, common things to study, and they are changing the entire mode of education. How they, then there are a lot of subjects which are coming. I can choose from my let's say from my choice. And there are a lot of vocational things which are coming up. So by when you are coming, when you have attained a age, or you have reached to class 6, you will be able to choose for a lot of vocational subjects that you can opt then, so that that would help in your building your future. So in a similar way, there should have been some, we can say, this is a pocket where we can fit in this road safety into those subjects only. So road safety cannot be an individual subject, but it can be incorporated in other subjects. So there were a lot of things which had happened earlier, but still there's a long way to go. So there has to be proper structured syllabus. So that is not there. Although schools are working their own, and they are doing a lot of things, and they're educating children about road safety. And this particular thing, I'll say the role of NGO is very important, and a lot of NGOs are doing this thing. But still, that effort is not, you can say, enough to fill the gap.
Got it. So, what's the message you want to leave people with?
Messages, you can say, there are so many things to say, but see, anyway, we are doing things, so that is very important that we are. But now it has time to run. So activities which are being taken by the central level or at the state level. So now it is, I think, uh, there's a lot of, you can say, the down the line, there's a lot of capacity needs to be built, so that we can see the effect at the rural level and district level. So in every state, you can say, if you just go to a capital city, you will find the things are good. Their compliance is good. People are following. Roads are good. Education is, there are actually a lot of activities are happening. But what about the, you can say, when you go to a tier 2 city or a tier 3 city, or in a village, or in some town, what is happening there? Nothing is, you can really find nothing. There is no compliance. So there is, the education level is very low. People are not following. So there is no proper infrastructure to handle good. Even the reach of the civil society is working in for the different causes, they couldn't reach at those places. So now it is time to come where we need to strengthen the structure, not only at the state capitals, but the other districts. And down the line, other districts, so there are smaller towns. So when we have proper infrastructure and we have proper manpower to handle all this things, then it will make an impact. So I think now it's time. So we have developed a proper framework at the state level, but now it is, you can say, it's obvious, and it's very important. Then the same is replicated down the line. So that will make an impact. So
That's
that is what I feel.
true. I think that's very well said and very important. I also feel that what's worked in cities, right? Like in terms of the infrastructure boom that has happened in cities.
Yes.
I feel like it's not like a lift and shift that can be done in the smaller towns, villages, districts. It has to be done in a more sustainable manner,
Yes.
and also taking into consideration what the strengths of that particular place are. And yeah, I'm pretty sure we are moving in that direction, and then we have some very capable people in the right places. I'm sure that work will be done towards that. But yeah, I think it doesn't have to be like a metro replication everywhere, but each smaller town village needs to have its own culture flourishing, but also ensuring that safety is given a lot of importance, because that's when I feel like then we will see a lot of change in behavior and ultimately get to our goal of reducing accidents. So, yep, thank you so much for your time. And then we also, as a company, are going to be working towards this cause of reducing accidents within the country and globally. But once again, Mr. Ashwini, thank you so much for your time. And I thoroughly enjoyed our conversation.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to have an exchange of ideas with you.
Good.